On American Bandstand, few dancers captured attention as instantly as Ronnie Verbit. Viewers couldn't ignore his resemblance to Frankie Avalon and Dion, and that look alone made him one of the most talked-about regulars on the floor. Ronnie wasn't a singer with hit records, nor was he chasing Hollywood fame. He was just a boy from Northeast High School who, with a sharp jacket and confident smile, suddenly looked like a teen idol every time the camera found him. Girls adored him, boys admired him, and magazines soon took notice, featuring his photo and personal profile as if he were a star in his own right. Yet what made Ronnie truly fascinating was not just how bright he shined, but how quickly he slipped away. He never pursued a career in entertainment, leaving behind only memories, clippings, and questions. Why would someone so admired choose a life outside the spotlight? That mystery is what makes Ronnie Verbit unforgettable. Ronnie Verbit's story began in Bayonne, New Jersey, on November 20, 1945. Just 2 weeks later, his family moved to Philadelphia, the city that would define his teenage years and set the stage for his time on American Bandstand. Growing up in the northeast section of the city, Ronnie was an ordinary boy who blended schoolwork with a growing love for music and style. At Northeast High School, he studied in the commercial course, earned a solid high B average, and gained a reputation for always looking sharp. While many classmates followed the fashions of the day, Ronnie seemed to embody them naturally. His collared jackets, polished shoes, and neat hair gave him the look of a young man who belonged on television. Philadelphia in the late 1950s was buzzing with music. Rock and roll acts were breaking through, and WFIL's Studio B had become the heart of it all. For local teens, appearing on Bandstand was both a thrill and a rite of passage. Ronnie joined the line outside the studio like thousands of others, but once inside, he stood out immediately. His movements on the floor were confident, his style unmistakable, and his resemblance to Avalon and Dion made him a face the cameras couldn't ignore. For viewers at home, Ronnie quickly became more than just another dancer in the crowd. He was the image of the ideal American teenager, handsome, well-dressed, and full of energy. And in a time when television was shaping how America saw its youth, Ronnie Verbit represented the dream that any boy or girl could step out of the neighborhood and into the national spotlight. When Ronnie Verbit walked onto the bandstand floor at WFIL's Studio B, he didn't need a microphone or a hit record to become the center of attention. His presence alone was enough. The polished clothes, the confident smile, the resemblance to Frankie Avalon, all of it combined to make him a figure fans could not forget. The cameras seemed to find him naturally, and soon the audience at home began asking about the handsome boy who looked like a star but danced among the regulars. By 1960, Ronnie's popularity had grown far beyond the studio walls. 16 magazine, the go-to publication for teenagers across America, began featuring bandstand regulars alongside the nation's biggest singers and movie idols. Ronnie appeared in these spreads, giving fans a chance to see him not just as a dancer on their TV screens, but as a personality in his own right. In one issue, readers learned about his favorite actors, his favorite music, and even his thoughts on dating. In another, he joined fellow regulars Kenny Rossi and Bill Cook for a playful article titled "The 5 Things We Look For in a Girl." For readers, those pages blurred the line between ordinary teens and celebrities, and Ronnie stood at the center of that magic. On the dance floor, his style matched the energy of the music that defined the era. Ronnie favored fast-tempo rock and roll numbers, and he moved with a natural rhythm that looked effortless. Unlike some dancers who sought to stand out with exaggerated moves, Ronnie's approach was smooth and confident. He never appeared to be performing for the cameras. Instead, he seemed to be simply enjoying the music. That authenticity only made him more appealing. For a brief time, Ronnie became one of the faces that defined American Bandstand in its Philadelphia years. He wasn't recording records or chasing movie roles, yet his photo appeared in scrapbooks across the country. To countless teens who cut out his picture from magazines, Ronnie Verbit was proof that the boy next door could become a television idol, if only for a shining moment. Behind the polished image seen on Bandstand, Ronnie Verbit was still a teenager with habits, routines, and simple joys that made him relatable to fans. At Northeast High, he was known as a dependable student who balanced studies with his growing fascination for music and film. His high B average in the commercial course suggested a boy who took school seriously, yet his friends remembered how much he loved the cultural world blossoming around him. Ronnie admired Hollywood's biggest stars. Tony Curtis, with his smooth charm and leading man charisma, was a role model, while Kim Novak captured his imagination as the glamorous screen siren of the late 1950s. His taste in music reflected the same blend of admiration and aspiration. Frankie Avalon, a Philadelphia boy who made it to the top, was his favorite male singer, and Connie Francis, with her heartfelt ballads, was his favorite female vocalist. These choices showed Ronnie's loyalty to the teen idol culture that surrounded him. His favorite record at the time, Tonite, revealed his love for fast harmony and upbeat rhythms, the very songs that inspired his smooth dance style. Television also shaped his evenings. Ronnie was devoted to the Dick Clark Show and refused to leave the house on Saturday nights until it was over. In those days, such loyalty reflected how television and music defined a teenager's identity. For Ronnie, it wasn't just entertainment, it was the center of his social world. Outside the studio, his interests were familiar to any teen of the era. He enjoyed going to the movies, eating Italian food, and spending hours dancing to fast-tempo records with friends. At home, he played with his younger brother Scott, who saw in Ronnie not a TV personality, but a caring sibling. These details painted a picture that fans cherished. Ronnie wasn't just a television figure, he was a boy who loved movies, music, food, and family. To teenage viewers, that combination of ordinary and extraordinary made him feel like someone they could know personally, even if he only appeared through the screen. As Ronnie Verbit's profile rose on American Bandstand, the curiosity of fans naturally shifted from how he danced to who he might be dating. Teenagers across America wanted to know if the boy who resembled Frankie Avalon was single, and magazine writers were quick to ask. Unlike some regulars who were known for steady romances, Ronnie admitted he wasn't in a serious relationship during his bandstand years. But he didn't shy away from sharing his views. He openly said he believed in the idea of steady dating, the kind of relationship built on stability and trust rather than fleeting attention. This honesty only added to his appeal. When 16th Magazine ran a feature titled "The 5 Things We Look For in a Girl," Ronnie joined Kenny Rossi and Bill Cook to answer. His response was simple but telling. He admired girls who were ladylike and feminine. At a time when teen magazines often pushed flashy statements, Ronnie's description came across as sincere. He wasn't looking for a dramatic love story. He valued grace, kindness, and a quiet charm that matched his own persona. His image on screen reinforced those values. Ronnie dressed neatly, favoring collared jackets and sweaters that gave him a clean, respectable look. He projected the kind of boy parents could approve of, yet his resemblance to Avalon added just enough mystery to keep fans intrigued. That balance between wholesome and alluring mirrored the moment in American culture, caught between traditional values and the new energy of rock and roll. To the girls who saved his pictures and reread his magazine interviews, Ronnie wasn't only a dancer. He was the vision of a perfect date, polite, stylish, and steady, someone who could walk you home from school and then appear on national television that same night. His approach to romance may have been modest, but it spoke to thousands of teenagers who saw in him both a dream and a mirror of their own youthful hopes. By the time Ronnie Verbit graduated from Northeast High School in 1963, his chapter on American Bandstand was drawing to a natural close. The show itself was about to change dramatically. In 1964, Dick Clark moved the program from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, taking the energy of Studio B with him and leaving behind the regulars who had defined the city's bandstand years. For Ronnie, the timing was decisive. Rather than chase the entertainment world across the country, he quietly stepped away. Unlike some of his peers who appeared at reunion specials or gave interviews years later, Ronnie chose a different path. He never returned for nostalgic events, never sought the spotlight again, and never presented himself as a former star. To fans who had adored him in the early 60s, his absence became a mystery. Why would someone so admired, who looked so much like a teen idol, choose anonymity instead? That question only deepened his allure. Small fragments of his later life emerged through community whispers. Fans who kept track of bandstand regulars learned that Ronnie eventually settled in Florida. Reports placed him in Boynton Beach, far from the studios and television lights that once framed his teenage years. There, he lived quietly, devoted to family and personal life rather than public recognition. For those who remembered him, the silence was bittersweet. On one hand, it was disappointing never to see him on stage again, never to hear him reflect on those days. On the other, it was fitting. Ronnie had never pursued celebrity in the first place. He was a neighborhood boy who enjoyed dancing, found himself on national television, and then simply returned to ordinary life. That choice, rare among television figures, gave him a mystique no reunion could match. Ronnie Verbit became not only a memory of Bandstand, but a reminder of how fleeting and precious those televised teenage years truly were. Though Ronnie Verbit stepped away from the cameras, his presence lingered in the memories of those who grew up watching American Bandstand. He was never a singer topping the charts or a movie star commanding the big screen, but for countless teenagers in the early 1960s, Ronnie's face was just as familiar. His polished style, his resemblance to Frankie Avalon, and his easy way of moving to the music made him a fixture in living rooms across America. Fans who clipped his photographs from 16 magazine or pasted his image into scrapbooks kept those mementos for decades. For them, Ronnie represented a golden moment when television captured ordinary teenagers and turned them into cultural icons. He wasn't larger than life. He was the boy next door elevated by the camera, someone who could be a classmate at school yet appear nationally on TV in the evening. That duality, ordinary and extraordinary, gave him an enduring charm. Even today, his name surfaces in online communities where bandstand memories are shared. People recall his crisp jackets, the way he danced without trying to steal attention, and the mystery of why he never returned for reunions. His absence became part of his story, turning Ronnie into a figure of nostalgia that grew more intriguing with time. In the grand history of American Bandstand, Ronnie Verbit stands as a reminder that the show's magic was not only about the performers it launched, but also about the teenagers who filled the floor and embodied the spirit of their generation. Ronnie was one of those teenagers, a fleeting star whose memory has lasted because he left just enough behind to spark affection, curiosity, and wonder in the fans who never forgot him. Ronnie Verbit's journey on American Bandstand may have lasted only a few years, but the impression he left was far greater than the screen time he received. To those who watched him dance in the early 1960s, he was a symbol of youthful charm, handsome, stylish, and approachable. The kind of boy who seemed both ordinary and extraordinary at once. His resemblance to Frankie Avalon made him unforgettable, yet his decision to step away from fame gave his story an air of mystery that endures to this day. He never returned for reunions, never sought the attention of the spotlight again, and perhaps that was the truest expression of who Ronnie was. He allowed his bandstand years to remain frozen in memory, a perfect snapshot of youth in America's golden age of rock and roll. For fans, that choice made him even more captivating, a dancer who gave them a glimpse of magic and then quietly walked away. But his memory still lives in the hearts of those who watched him. Do you remember Ronnie Verbit and the thrill of seeing him on your screen? If you'd like to revisit more forgotten faces of Bandstand, please subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the stories still waiting to be told.